Benji's here, LBC's reporter, who's been listening in to both what Jimmy Kimmel said and what the reaction has been. Fire away.
Yeah, Sheila, Jimmy Kimmel's one of America's best-known names on television. He's hosted events like the Oscars, but he has had his late-night show cancelled, pulled off the air after he suggested that Donald Trump's Make America Great Again movement was scoring political points in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. You mentioned that you heard the whole monologue earlier. We won't play the whole thing. These are just the words which seemingly have landed Jimmy Kimmel in hot water and may very well have cost him his job.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the Maga Gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So that went out on Monday. Then ABC, a subsidiary of Disney, have pulled Jimmy Kimmel live, a move that the president, US President Donald Trump, has called great news. He's actually urged other networks to follow suit. As you mentioned, it has reignited this debate about free speech. But there is another element to the story as well, which is worth mentioning. And there are a couple of names here, but I'll keep it as simple as possible. Nexstar Media Group, that is a big organisation which operates several affiliated local stations that airs Jimmy Kimmel's show. It wants to purchase one of its rivals in the sector for a huge amount of money, $6 billion. And for that, it would need approval by the regulator in the United States, the Federal Communications Commission. It so happens that the chair of the FCC is appointed by Donald Trump, and he says, well, I'm quite willing to entertain that idea. And it also so happens that on Wednesday, he went on a MAGA podcast to directly criticise Jimmy Kimmel. He called him talentless and then called on stations to reject his talk show.
Individual licensed stations that are taking their content, it's time for them to step up and say, this, garbage, to the extent that that's what comes down the pipe in the future, isn't something that we think serves the needs of our local communities.
And then how about this? Hours later, we have a statement from Nexstar that says that they made the difficult decision to preempt Jimmy Kimmel's show to let cooler heads prevail. And then literally publicly, the FCC's chair, Brendan Carr, said, thank you very much, Nexstar, for doing the right thing. At the very same time as this, you have Donald Trump, as he set off on his state visit to the UK, lashing out at a reporter from ABC, of course, the same channel that airs Jimmy Kimmel's show. And in that exchange, he threatened to come after his employer.
She'll probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart.
Sheila, this hasn't come from nowhere. A few months ago, Donald Trump hinted that, and I'm quoting the president here, Jimmy Kimmel is next. And that was after another late-night show host, Stephen Colbert, who you mentioned, had his own CBS show pulled for financial reasons. But let's remember that there's a precedent to this, which has created these conditions, because Disney began this kind of wave of capitulation by settling a lawsuit, Donald Trump's lawsuit against ABC last December, and it seemingly has empowered the president to take these sorts of actions. Just on Charlie Kirk, because that is, well, at least what Nexstar says, the reason why Jimmy Kimmel's show has ended. There has been a number of media figures to have faced a backlash for their public comments, not just Jimmy Kimmel. MSNBC firing its political analyst for comments that he made in the wake of the assassination.
But what were the comments?
He said that hateful thoughts lead to hateful words and actions, i.e. Charlie Kirk's hateful words.
See, I think that does go further than anything Jimmy Kimmel said.
Yes.
And an employer would have the right to say, I think you're bringing us into disrepute with those comments. We're not going to keep you on. I think that could be a legitimate thing.
Right.
I think it could be. I mean, you need a proper investigation, obviously, but I think that is materially different to Jimmy Kimmel.
It seems to be. But what is remarkable, and you pointed at it, is that with these Jimmy Kimmel comments and with other positions where we've had people lose their jobs, you have all of that in spite of the environment in which the Trump administration positions itself as a sort of bastion of free speech. It's railing
and of
against
tolerance of other speech.
Totally. And it's alleging that there is
nonsense.
this leftist crackdown of free speech in the US and the UK. It's not, Donald Trump's administration doing it. It's the left-wing activists. In fact, this is what Elon Musk, who served as a senior advisor to the president, said earlier this year.
The left wanted to make comedy illegal, Like, you can't make fun of anything. So then it was like, comedy sucks. It's like, nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah.
Legalised comedy. I mentioned what the FCC chair said and his involvement in all of this. There is a separate commissioner to the FCC. It's a bit complicated, but effectively someone else who works for the regulator, someone called Ana Gomez, has branded this whole row as censorship. And she alleged, this is her words, that the US administration is increasingly using the weight of government power to suppress lawful expression. Of course, Jimmy Kimmel's critics would say he deserved this and it wasn't very funny anyway. His ratings were low. He was going to lose his job all the same. But the context here, I think, in terms of free speech and the purchasing arrangement that I explained before goes a long way to explain how we ended up here.